So we have been discussing the process of discriminative understanding of the self, and that process went like this. Whatever I see, all those seen objects are different from me, the seer. The scene and the scenery is other than the seer. That is a fundamental law in the Vedantic discipline. Drik, Drishya, Viveka. Drik means the seer and Drishya means the scene or the scenery. So that tree yonder there is a seen object, and I, the seer of the tree, is other than the tree, transcend the tree. My awareness envelop the tree and light up the tree, and the light that I am is different from the tree. So too the table here in front of me is an object which my awareness illuminates, and I am different from the table, because the table is a object, I am the subject. And the same law can be applied to the body. The body is something seen. It's part of the seen world, and I am the seer. So too my thoughts. My thoughts are objects of my awareness. My thoughts float like clouds in my awareness. Sometimes there are white clouds, sometimes there are dark clouds. But I am like the space, other than these floating thoughts, good thoughts, bad thoughts. So to my memories. Memories are objects of my awareness. They appear and disappear, and I am other than those memories. So to the experience of time. Time is part of my experience, and time is a product of thought. When there are no thoughts, I don't experience time. So the instantaneous time, the chronological time, or the time measured by the speed of light, all these are object of my experience. Therefore I go beyond time. And hence we have different experience of time: psychological time, chronological time, private time, public time. I am different from all this. Time is an object in my awareness. So too space is an object in my awareness. So time, space, events happen in my awareness. Between two events there may be a gap. Between two objects there are gap. Between the sun and the tree over there, there is a large distance. But both of them are available in my awareness. Therefore there is no gap between my awareness and the tree, my awareness and the sun. They are all are available in my awareness. They come and go like motes of dust shining in a beam of light. All these objects shine in me. I am that awareness. So this is how we reject all these objects, and then by a process of via negativa, by a process of negation, and come to the realization of our true awareness. And that awareness is beyond time, beyond thought, and on that level we all are one. That is how the song of the soul goes. We are one in that level of consciousness. So having seen that, now we have been approaching from many directions to the mountain top of awareness. First it was I am beyond, other than the sthula sharira, gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. Then it was seen I am the witness, the sakshi, in all these three states of awareness: waking, dream, and sleep. I continue to exist as the witness in the waking dream and deep sleep awareness. So that continuity between the waker and the dreamer and the sleeper is because of my awareness or consciousness. Now we are taking another route. So analysis of panchakoshas, the 5 sheaths of the personality. What are these 5 sheaths? And who is the one, the central awareness, which has these identification with these 5 sheaths? So here is a analysis of that. Continuing. Panchakoshaha ke. What are these 5 sheaths? Kosha. Panchakoshaha ke. What are they? And the answer. Annamayaha, Pranamayaha, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamayaschedi. These are the 5 koshas. Annamaya, kosha. So here maya means modification. Annamaya kosha means a sheath, a cover. Sheath means a cover. Like a sword has a sheath. It is sheathed. A sword can be put in a sheath. You can unsheath the sword. Similarly, our soul is sheathed in these 5 layers. So the outermost layer of the soul, the Atman, is the Annamaya Kosha, meaning a sheath which is a modification of food, the food that we have eaten, the physical, gross body. All of you will agree with that this body is a modification of food, this physical body. So Annamaya Kosha. And the other is Pranamaya Kosha. So prana is the physiological. We have seen this morning the physiological dimension of our personality, which determines our personality, our awareness, influences our awareness, the physiological sheath. We will see in detail as we go ahead. Then Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha, Manas stands for the emotion, the emotional personality. There is a layer in you which is full of emotions. And if somebody touches that layer, you feel hurt, disturbed. It's an emotional layer of your personality. And then Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellectual layer of your personality. Vijnana means intellect, thinking, deliberating, that aspect of your personality. And finally, Anandamayaschedi. Anandam is bliss. Anandamaya means a modification or a reflection of bliss, pleasure. There is a level which is a level of pleasure. So these are the 5 levels of your personality. And the person is buried deep in these layers. A person and a persona. A person speaking through the persona becomes the personality. That's the definition of a personality. Persona is a mask that we wear and speak through that mask. So sometimes we speak through our emotional personality. It is at that time you say, I am hurt, I am not in a mood, don't speak with me, I am not in a mood. Or sometimes we speak through our intellectual personality, then in a very rational mood, thinking mood. Then there is the physiological personality. It is at that time you say, I am hungry, I am thirsty. Then there is the physical personality. Then that innermost layer is the pleasure personality, where you feel comforted and comfortable. These are the various layers of our personalities. Let us see in detail what do these koshas mean. Manascha idi, these are the personalities. Now the student asks, Annamayaha kaha? Annarasenaiva bhutva Annarasenaiva vriddhim prapya Annarupa prithivya Yad viliyade Tad annamaya koshaha Stula shariram. So Annamaya kosha, the physical personality or the food sheath, is identical with the Stula Sharira, the gross body. Earlier we have talked about the gross body. The gross body is made up of the compounded 5 elements. It is like a house in which you sit and deal with the world, and it is subjected to birth, death, etc. That physical body is here called Annamaya Kosha. And this Annamaya Kosha, physical personality or physical dimension of your personality, Anna Rasenaiva Bhutva, it is born of Anna Rasa. Anna means food, Rasa means the essence. That personality is born of the essence of the food that you have eaten throughout your life, all the kinds of food that you have eaten. Anna Rasenaiva Bhutva. Not only you have eaten, your parents have eaten. Because it is from the food that the parents have eaten, you got your primary cell. It is from that primary cell dividing and subdividing. By the time you are 9 months old in the mother's womb, you have about, they say 300 billion cells. All from that one single cell eaten by the mother and the father. They have not eaten food, then there will be no life for you, the physical body for you. So Annarasenaiva Bhutva, born of the essence of the food, Rasa means essence of the food eaten by the parents, and then Annarasenaiva Vriddhim Prapya, then the cell takes nourishment, draws nourishment and divides and divides and subdivides. Annarasena Vriddhim Prapya. Then when you are born, again you eat food. So if you have not eaten food, you won't grow physically. So Annarasena Vriddhim Prapya. Annarupa Prithivyam Yad Viliyade. Finally, you drop this bag of food which you have been carrying all this while. When you drop this bag of food, this becomes food for other creatures. If you are just buried, worms eat you up. Living you are useless. At least dead you are useful for the worms. So, or your body is put on the hilltop and the vultures come and gorge into the body. You become food for them, for the vultures and the jackals. Or you are burned, the body is burned in fire, you become food for fire. So this is born of food, nourished by food, and become food. That is the fate of this Annamaya Kosha, the physical body. The more you eat, the more food you generate for others. So later you become food for others. And the quality of the food, if you are eating reptiles and buffaloes and pigs, then the quality of the body, the sensitivity of the body will be determined by what you eat. And hence there is a lot of emphasis on sattvic food. Vegetarian, I am not making any value judgment here. Vegetarian, sattvic food, minimum quantity, at the right time, cooked and served with the love, the spiritual attitude, these are all very important. What food you eat is very, very, what time you eat, with what attitude you eat, that all goes into your personality. Sannaraseneva. So the very definition of food is that which eats and be eaten. Food eats you and you eat food. The more food you eat, the more you are eaten by other creatures. So that's the definition of food. Eater, eating is being eaten. That's a famous phrase for Maharishi Aurobindo. The eater, eating is being eaten. Less you eat, the less you will be eaten. You know, the world of the rat race. You gobble up somebody and then you fatten yourself. Then there comes another big fish that eats you up. That's why John is eaten up by pharmacy, pharmacy eaten up by Pfizer. God alone knows who will eat up Pfizer. Either Pfizer will die and decompose, and then that becomes food for others. This kind of eater being eaten is going on. If I eat you, definitely somebody will eat me, and that somebody will again be eaten by somebody. That is the law operating in the physical world. So annaraseneva bhutva annaraseneva vriddhim prapya annarupa pruthivyam yad viliyade. Yad means that, viliyade goes back into annarupa pruthivyam, into the earth. In the Bible it is said from food, from earth or mud you have come, into mud you come back. From the earth you have come unto the physical body only. We are not talking about the other aspect of your personality. This physical body is born of earth and it will go back into earth. So annaraseneva bhutva annaraseneva vriddhim prapya anarupa pruthivyam yad viliyade tad annamaya kosha sthula shariram. And that is the definition of sthula sharira. So this sthula sharira, physical body, including the bones and marrows, etc., these are all born of. When you say about physical body, it includes the skin, the blood, the bones, the marrows, the nervous system. These are all part of the physical structure into which the mind structure is fitted. The mind structure is embedded in the physical structure. So yad viliyade tad annamaya kosha sthula shariram, and that is the sthula sharira. So in India, a lot of experiments were done with the physical level, on the physical level. You don't eat for 20 days and see what happens. What happens to the physical body, what happens to your mind, what happens to your spirit if you don't eat for 20 days or 200 days. There are these Jain monks who don't eat for 200 days. And now we discover it is possible for an ordinary human being to live without food for 200 days, because the body has already a reserve, food security, reserve for 200 days. An ordinary human being has reserve for 200 days. They say 400,000 calories are stored in the body, physical body, and you need only 200 calories per day just to survive, not to work and run around. For that you need about 2,400 calories. But just to survive, just to breathe and survive, you need only 200. So 400,000 divided by 200 will be 200 days. You can live for 200 days just on water, a little bit of salt, that's all what you require. So these experiments, not eating or changing your eating patterns or changing your food that you take, the quality of food. So thus a lot of experiment has been done, and it is an interesting enterprise. If you experiment with your food, very conscious of the quantity, the quality and the timing and the thought with which you eat food, with a prayer, if you eat food every day, but which is difficult, because when you are hungry we forget about the prayer, you just eat the food, and or when you are very hungry, whatever is available we eat. But there are people in India who make a lot of experiments with the way they eat and what they eat, etc. So physical body is a modification of the food, and it becomes food later. And our attitude towards the physical body will be will be determined by this fact, that this is only a bag of food that you are carrying. Not raw food, but digested, modified essence of the food. So they say the food that you eat, one part become the mind, one part become the physical body, and another part become feces and you throw out. Two parts go into your mind and the body. So annaraseneva bhutva annarasene vruddhim prapya annarupa pruthivyam yadviliyade tad annamaya koshaha stula shariram. This is your gross body. Okay, now, so when you identify the gross body, you say I am tall, I am fat, I am short, I am fair, I am black, I am, all these expressions are possible because of your identification with the physical body. When you disidentify with the physical body, you no more express yourself in those terms. Thereafter you never say, I have a body which is tall, short, fat, lean, black, fair, etc. I have a body. Like you say, I have a buffalo which has got such and such characteristics. So it's not me, it is a body that I own, occupy and use. The body becomes a symbol instrument for you. Continuing. Pranamayaha kaha. Now tell me, sir, what is the pranamaya kosha? The physiological sheath, or it can also be called the vital air sheath. This pranamaya kosha's physical expression is the breath. You breathe, and as a result you are alive. All your vital organs function. If you stop breathing for 2 minutes, then all their vital organs shut down. Your lungs stop, your heart stop, your brain stop functioning, the blood stop, everything stops. So very expression of life is the prana, and the prana's gross expression is the breath. Now he says, what is pranamaya kosha? The physiological sheath explains. Pranadhyaha panchavayavaha vagadi indriya panchagam pranamaya koshaha. So he says pranadhyaha panchavayavaha. Of course the Rishi is not giving you all the details of the pranas, the 5 pranas. So he says pranadhyaha panchavayavaha. The 5 panchavayavaha, vaya means air, 5 vital functions beginning with the prana. So prana means the ability to ingest, that's a function. The ability to ingest. Ingest means breathe in, the ability to ingest, to swallow. A dead person does not have that ability. If I open the mouth of a dead man, which is very difficult, because once you are dead, these limbs become stiff. You cannot bend your legs or open your mouth. Anyway, with much difficulty opening his mouth and put a laddu or something, a sweet, he will not swallow it, because that ability has been lost. He cannot swallow it. So that way, prana means the ability to ingest, swallow, and then another vital air function is the ability to digest whatever you have ingested. So that is the respiratory function and then the digestive function. That is another part of your personality. And their function, good or bad functioning, will affect your moods, your personality. If you cannot breathe properly, suffering from some breathing problem, then life becomes difficult. Your moods change. So to whatever you eat, you have to digest. If you don't digest, is again problem, constipation, loose motion, etc. And so the respiratory system, the digestive system, and having digested, it has to be circulated all over the body. The circulatory system, that is another prana. And then what is circulated is to be assimilated. That is another function of the prana. So, respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system, assimilation, and then finally excretion. Whatever is unnecessary, you excrete. These are the 5 pranas. So, in Sanskrit we call it prana, apana, udana, samana, vyana. It is not in the book. Tomorrow I will write down on the board. Prana, apana, udana, samana, vyana. But its English translation is the respiratory system, the digestive system, the circulatory system, and the assimilative system, and then finally the excretory system. These are your inner physiological functions. So, pranadhyaha panchavayavaha, those 5 pranas, and vagadi indriya panchagam, and the indriya panchagam, the 5 organs of action, beginning with the vak, speech. So, speech, pani, pada, payu, upastham, meaning speech, hands, legs, then payu, the excretory organs, and the reproductive organs. All of them put together become the pranamaya kosha. So, in that level of the personality, you have the organs of action and the 5 pranas. Together you can say that is the pranamaya kosha. That is one level of your personality. You express through this level of your personality. And at that time, when you are identified with that, the expression will be I am hungry, I am thirsty. All those physiological expression is a result of identification with the pranamaya kosha, the white layer sheath. So, pranadhyaha panchavayavaha vagadi indriya panchagam, pranamaya kosha. And in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, certain disciplines are given. If you concentrate upon the throat, which is the seat of, from where your hunger and thirst is controlled, the throat region. If you concentrate on there, do samyama there, Patanjali says you can win over hunger and thirst. You don't feel hungry. It's not a good prospect. I don't know whether you will want that situation, but you can control hunger and thirst temporarily by concentrating on the throat region. Because it is this from here, the pituitary gland controls the metabolic processes. So, meditate on here. So, by meditating on various organs and detaching from that, you will be able to control and change its functioning. If there is some illness caused by those areas, you can correct them by focusing your consciousness on that particular region. So, an awareness of these inner functions are useful for regaining health by directing your consciousness and awareness. So, pranadhyaha panchavayavaha vagadi indriya panchagam pranamaya kosha. That is the pranamaya kosha. And continuing, manomaya koshaha kaha. So, what is the manomaya kosha? The emotional sheath, emotional aspect of my personality. Answer. Manascha jnanendriya panchagam militva yo bhavadi sa manomaya koshaha. So, the emotional sheath of your personality or the mental sheath, what are they? Manascha, the mind. Mind is the seat of emotions. Manascha jnanendriya panchagam, and the 5 organs of perception, eyes, ears, nose, etc. So, your emotions and the organs of perception together constitute the manomaya kosha. Whereas the pranamaya kosha, organs of action and the physiological function, they constitute the Pranamaya kosha. When it comes to Manomaya kosha, emotions and the organs of perception. So emotion determine how you see the world. If you are not in a good mood, then the world is very dark, very dreary. If you are in a good mood, you see the bright sunlight. If you are not in a good mood, you refuse to see the bright sunlight. So emotions affect your perception, what you hear, the quality of your experience of the world and yourself. So Manomaya kosha is Manascha Jnanendriya Panchagam Militva Yaha Bhavadi Saha Manomaya kosha. So mind and the 5 organs of perception. Continuing, Vijnanamaya kaha. So it is in that state when you identify with the mind and emotions, you say, I am happy, I am unhappy, I am not in a mood, don't talk with me now, leave me alone. All these expressions are because of your identification with, you are not able to manage those aspects of your personality because you are so much identified. There is no distance between you and this emotional personality. As a result, you have no control. Even in our ordinary life we find, when you are attached to somebody too much, then you lose control over that person. You are so much attached. And that person dictates your life. If you are a little distanced and detached, neither you want to control him because there is no need. The need to control comes when you are attached. Otherwise there is no need. And the more you try to control because of your attachment, the more you lose control. It is a vicious circle that way. So when you are a little detached, then you understand, I have no need to fix that person. My need to fix another person comes because I am attached. I am expecting something from that person. When you expect something from that person, then you want to fix it. You want to determine his lifestyle because your happiness depends upon that. So when you are detached, then you have no need. You can let go. Other person can be free, you also can be free. Otherwise there is a entanglement, and that entanglement creates problem both for you and for the other. The example given is by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. It's like a water snake swallowing a bullfrog. Bullfrog is a huge frog. Water snake is a tiny snake. And the water snake swallows a bullfrog. It cannot swallow it, but it can bring the water bullfrog into the mouth. Mouth is very big. Both suffer. The water snake suffers, the bullfrog also suffers. So you let go. When it is gone, you have no need. So that is the true freedom. So when you are identified with Manomaya kosha, all these needs arise. I must control, I must possess, I must fix. Like you deal with a piece of furniture, you deal with other people. That this furniture should be here and it should not move from there. Similarly, we go very aggressively in manipulating and managing people. It shows your own level of identification. So Manascha Jnanendriya Panchagam Militva Yo Bhavadi Saha Manomaya kosha. That is the Manomaya kosha. So I am happy, I am unhappy, I am angry. All these expressions come from those entanglements, this identification. So once you are disidentified, there will be less anger because you are able to watch and distance and disidentify. And that's one step, higher step towards freedom. Continuing, Vijnanamaya kaha. So and now what is kaha? What is Vijnanamaya kosha? The intellectual sheath. Vijnana means knowledge. The intellectual knowledge sheath. Vijnanamaya kaha. Answer. Buddhi. Jnanendriya Panchagam Militva Yo Bhavadi Saha Vijnanamaya Koshaha. So Buddhi means the intellect. Apart from the emotional personality, you have an intellectual personality. There is an intellect which determines, deliberates, decides. This is not done by your emotional personality. Your emotional personality gets excited about things. Then your buddhi decides. No, don't get excited. There's nothing so exciting about it. So your buddhi comes to play. You deliberate, debate, and then finally you decide. You know, in the internet, the email, sometimes you get the messages. In your name, $50,000 is going to be put in the bag. Please send your credit card number. Initially you are excited, $50,000. You run around and you get excited and you see. And finally the intellect, because 50,000 stirs your emotions, not a small quantity of money. And then your intellect comes to play. You deliberate. And finally you determine that erase that email. Nothing to do with that person. He is a thief. He is not a dependable person. So intellect. Some people get so overwhelmed by it, they send their credit card and they lose all the money. This is the act of the intellect. So buddhi, intellect, jnanendriya panchagam. Jnanendriya are the organs of perception. So intellect and also organs of perception combines with the emotional profile personality, and it combines with the intellectual personality also. So the intellect and the organs of perception together become your intellectual profile. So from that level, when you look at the world, there is better perspective about the world, better understanding of the world. If you come down to the emotional level and look at the world, what you see is very fussy, because you pay into the world with your own emotions. And hence sometimes you say, I love you. The same person after 2 days, I want to kill you. Understand? First you write letters in blood. Without you I cannot live. My world is empty. Then you come into more contact with that person. And earlier you were ready to give blood. Now you are ready to draw blood. Not from you, but from the other person. So these kind of emotional somersaults, emotions are like that. And most of the youngsters are carried away by their emotions. And if somebody says something, they will not, because they are so much steeped in their emotional personality. Their whole awareness is used up by their emotional personality. And as long as you are stuck with the emotion, there is no hope of moving ahead. So emotions are to be chastened, and those emotions have to come under the control of the intellect, so that the emotion can give you the necessary fuel, passion. Don't kill your emotion. If you kill your emotion, then you become a dry intellectual. There is no spiritual enlightenment possible. So emotion should give fuel, energy to the intellect. But intellect can see, emotion can give the push. But emotions control the intellect, then we are finished. Then we are stuck up. So he says, Buddhi Jnanendriya Panchagam Militva, the five Jnana Indriya Panchagam, the five sense organs, and the Buddhi intellect Militva Ya Bhavadi. Saha, that is Vijnanamaya Kosha. That is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And we must spend the time every day to deliberate on these levels of our personality. Apart from merely understanding it, we also have to feel it. Become part of your way of looking at yourself. That is an intellectual personality. Continuing. Anandamayaha kaha. And what is the Anandamaya Kosha? Evameva Karana Sharira Bhuda Avidyastha Malina Sattvam Priyadi Vritti Sahidam Sanna Anandamaya Kosha. So Anandamaya Kosha is the deepermost layer of your personality. And the deepermost layer of your personality is called Karana Sharira Bhudam. Is when you identify with the Karana Sharira. Because we have already identified Karana Sharira is the deepest layer of the personality. First is the Sthula Sharira, Sushma Sharira and the Karana Sharira. Meaning gross body, subtle body and the causal body. And that causal body is the Anandamaya Kosha. It's another name given to the causal body. So, Evameva Karana Sharira Bhudam Bhuda Avidyastham. And the Karana Sharira is embedded in ignorance. Because the pleasure that you have now is because of the ignorance about your true nature. Most of the pleasures we seek, first of all, when you enjoy, when you have pleasure, there is a certain transcendence that you experience. Where is a physical pleasure, when you hear music, or when you swim, or when there is some other modes of pleasure, you forget about the body. That is the first sign. You forget about the body. You forget about your emotion. You forget about your intellect. You go in a higher level. First time when you saw the Taj Mahal, let us say, whoever has seen it, you go there in a moonlit night, you see this from a distance, this white marble poem, as Tagore said it. You saw that. When you beheld that wonderful sight, you forget where you are standing, how long you stood there, who you are, your physical pain, your knee pain, your hunger, everything is forgotten. And the mosquitoes were buzzing all around you, and the heat of Delhi, everything is forgotten. And the money you spent, just to see, if you really think at that time, did I spend all the money to see this? Everything is forgotten. And then you move into a very deeper layer of pleasure for some time. And then you are mesmerized by that sight. There's a lot of pleasure at that time. Don't you say that I really enjoyed it, the first sight of Taj Mahal. Is at that time suddenly the thought comes, let me take a picture of this. Then you go for the camera and then you come down. Then you are to your utter surprise, you discover the camera is missing. Understand? Somebody has taken away the camera. In your excitement about Taj Mahal, you kept it somewhere. And in Delhi, if you leave something like that, it will be missing and gone. So that way you come down to then thereafter you never see the Taj Mahal. You think of the camera, where it is, who has taken, all are thieves here. Your whole philosophy about India changes. I thought it's a land of rishis and saints. Now I discover the land of robbers, thieves, just because you lost a camera. Your whole philosophy changes. So from that level of pleasure, you can come down. Or even a mosquito bite is enough. So we do experience this flight into the Anandamaya Kosha when we are in contact with something desirable, something of our choice. When we are in contact with the desirable object, you go into that Anandamaya Kosha. You stay there for some time. Then you again come down. You have not broken out of this shell into the larger consciousness. What you get at that point is only a pleasure. A pleasure because you have fulfilled a desire. A desire which is born of your self-ignorance. And a pleasure which is a pale reflection of the true bliss that you are capable of. So in our seeking pleasure, desirable object, a desire which is blind and misguides you, and we are following them. The desire says your happiness is there, it misguides you. And then you go around. And then every encounter of this pleasure ends up in a disappointment. Because you play with it for some time and discover this is not what I seek. I am seeking something else. Then you leave it at that. Then the desire says something else there. Then you go there. The desire is the greatest misguider. It misguides. It's not a guide, it misguides and takes you all around. So this experience of movement into the pleasure zone and then come back. Again you get something. You go there and come back. We are trapped into these two positions. Pleasure and then again displeasure. Pleasure and displeasure. Isn't it our experience? And in displeasure we are so much steeped in the body, in the mind, emotions and illness, all these experiences. So, evameva karana sharira bodha avidyastam, that's why I call it is avidya. You are still in the zone of ignorance. Malina sattvam, malina sattva, in that level, because of ignorance, there is large amount of tamas, malina. That pleasure is mixed with displeasure and pain. That's the way it is, not undiluted pleasure. It's a contaminated pleasure. Malinam, filthy, dirty, contaminated. Malina sattvam. Its nature is a contaminated pleasure. And why it is contaminated? Because that pleasure comes because of our association with an object, a desirable object, or dissociation from an undesirable object. Then also there is pleasure for some time. Isn't it? There is pleasure for some time. A toothache, association with that painful tooth. When you extract it, there is some kind of a relief. So similarly, dissociation from painful situations, association with pleasurable situations, pitchfork you into that level of, into that Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha, not Ananda. It's not Ananda, it's only Anandamaya. It's a reflection of Ananda. It's a picture of Ananda, not real Ananda. And because of their association, certain vrittis are created in the mind, certain thoughts are created in the mind with a desirable object. So when I see a desirable object from a distance, the mind entertains a certain modes, and the first when I see an object, what happens to that mind? Mind assumes a certain mode. That mode is called a priyam, kind of pleasure you experience when you see a desirable object. Suddenly your son writes, "Mom, I am coming." When you get that letter, there is a pleasure. You feel the letter in between your fingers. Occasionally you look at the letter, there is a pleasure. You are not still seeing him, you only got the information. Whenever you see the letter, you go to that Anandamaya. Then you come down, of course. It's a very slippery area, you have to come back. So then you got the letter. Then the day of his arrival, you are driving to the airport, there is more pleasure. Then when you first see him in the lounge, and when you see him, that state is called Priya Moda, and another mode of mind. modam. Because the object of your pleasure is in your grasp, is there. Then when you drive him home, sit near him, or you ask him, now you drive, mom will sit near you. I drove all the way to the airport, now it is for you to drive. You sit near him and talk with him, because he is with you. There is a lot of pleasure. That state of mind is called Priya Moda Pramoda. That's why Priyadi Vritti. Priya Vritti, Moda Vritti and Pramoda Vritti. Extreme. Then he comes and messes up your house and rooms, and then things are thrown out, and then loud music, and then your peace is shattered. You are not able to meditate. Then what happened? The countdown starts. Understand? The anticlimax starts. Then you pray, when are you going back? Because I am not able to do anything. You are disturbing me so much. Because you are expecting that joy by that contact. So all these joys have these ups and downs. You go to a certain level, and then the same object can pull you down. The same object will push you up into a state of joy. The same object can pull you down. Then some or other you send him back. Again you are worrying, when are you coming? Because you always need some kind of a excitement in life. So that joy is mixed with these three moods: initial pleasure, excitement, then the anticlimax. So after some time you decide, let me get out of this. This is not the life I want to live. This is not the way I would like to enjoy myself. I have to discover a higher level of joy which is not produced by the external contact or indulging in a desire. And that joy should be my nature, which I can never be lost, which can never be lost. And hence from there, the Anandamaya, you seek pure bliss, Anandam. And Anandam is the nature of the self. So thereafter you realize you don't need any external support to be a happy person. That's the moment of realization. Suddenly you realize, I don't need anybody to be happy. Then you have come home. So far you have been wandering all over the world. Now you have come home, you have realized your Sarupa, nature as happiness. Thereafter you don't wander in the world for happiness. You move about in the world as a happy person. That's a very key insight, realization. I don't have to wander for happiness. If I wander for happiness, I will invariably become an unhappy person. So, evameva karanavrutti bhuda avidyasta malina sattvam. So, this joy that you get is malinam, is contaminated. Priyadi vritti sahidam, because it is created by those modes of mind, the vrittis. And in those modes, your Sarupa Anandam manifests. So it's a borrowed. It's not the real Anandam that you experience. So the Anandamaya Kosha, that's the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath. So some people make the mistake, this is the ultimate. The Anandamaya Kosha is ultimate. No, it is only a aspect of your personality. Beyond is the ultimate. And hence Shankara says, Panchakosha Adida. Panchakosha Adida, your true nature is beyond these five sheaths, which you have to capture in meditation. So meditation is an attempt to go beyond all these five koshas by a process of objectifying all these koshas, watching, gaining that witnesshood, disidentify. You must go beyond, transcend all these five koshas and abide in your true self. In meditation, what we are doing. So without this understanding, meditation will not be useful. Meditation only means you sit down and sleep. Of course, some joy you get out of it. Because when you get good sleep, it itself is a blessing. And only blessed people can sleep wherever they sit and in whatever condition. So sleeping is a blessing. I don't dispute that. But that's not the objective in meditation. You need this understanding. These landmarks are to be understood. And then one can progress in meditation. Now continuing. Edat kosha panchakam. These are the 5 koshas that we are talking about. So we have discussed 3 bodies, gross body, subtle body and causal body. We discussed 3 states of consciousness, the waker, sleeper and dreamer, and the waker's world, dreamer's world and the sleeper's world, and something which is continuously existing in all these 3 states, which is your true identity, which is your true self. You are not the waker, not the dreamer, nor the sleeper. These are all the roles that you play depending upon what you are identified with. You are the true consciousness. And then finally the pancha koshas, these 5 koshas or sheaths or costumes that you wear. You are beyond all this. And this understanding is very, very important. So next sentence, that insight is presented by Shankaracharya. There is a great insight that you get about yourself as you dwell upon these descriptions, these teaching. Suddenly an insight arises in you. What is that insight? That I am none of this. These are only my external attributes. The essential me is something beyond all this. What is the insight we gathered from all these explorations? That insight is said in the next sentence. This is the insight we gather. Madiyam shariram, madiyaha pranaha, madiyam manascha, madiya buddhihi, madiyam jnanamidi, sveneva jnayate, tad yatha madiyatvena jnatam kataka kundala grihadikam swasmad bhinnam tatha panchakoshadikam swasmad bhinnam madiyatvena jnatam atma na bhavadi. This is the insight you gain from these explorations. It says, from this you understand, it is madiyam shariram. This body is mine, not me. Madiyam means mine. So your relationship with the body undergoes a drastic change. Earlier you thought you are the body. Now you know you are not the body, but the body is yours. So my body, you say my body, not I am the body. So with that clarity, you always say my body. And we express also sometimes, my body is aching. That means it's your body, you are not the body. If you are the body, you should have said something differently. I am the body, or I am aching also. So my body, that's a new understanding about your relationship with the body. Madiyam shariram, madiyaha pranaha. Madiya prana, my physiological functions. Prana, my breath, my blood circulation, my kidney, my liver, my endocrine system. You say mine, not me, because your awareness falls on them. You aware them, you are not them. Madiyaha prana. Madiyam, the doctors are employing these techniques in healing now. You say, wherever there is a problem, there is a kidney problem or this problem, that bring your awareness to that and objectify it and stand apart from it. And that awareness will heal the defective organ or part of the body. So Madiyaha, Madiyam Manascha, and my mind, my thoughts, my emotion, my anger. Not that I am angry, but my anger. Change your words, change the way you express. If you are saying I am angry, you have to say I have anger, or I am dealing with anger, my anger, not that you are angry. The very framing of such sentences will help you liberate it. So Madiyaha, Madiyam Manascha, my mind, my emotion. Madiyaha Buddhihi, my intellect and my thinking. My thinking may be wrong. Nowadays people say that. I may be wrong. My thinking may be wrong. You may correct me, but this is what I think. This is what is my thought. So my thinking may be wrong. You don't say I am wrong. You only say my thinking may be wrong. And I am ready to change my thinking. So Madiyaha Buddhihi, Madiyam Jnanamidhi, and my knowledge. I own this knowledge. As a doctor, as an engineer, as a scientist, you have a set of knowledge which is becoming fast obsolete. You see, so if you hold on to that knowledge, you become obsolete. You don't want to, intend to. It is only your knowledge. You are ready to change that knowledge. Madiyam Jnanam. Idi Svena eva jnayade. Thus everything is known by me. I know these things. I aware these things. I am the awareness, and these are object of my awareness. That's how you think. These are all flying in the light of my awareness, floating and flying and all that. I am the awareness. So your body is a tiny speck of matter floating in your awareness. Your body. In the same awareness, all of these bodies float. Everything floats in the space of your awareness, in the light of your awareness. It's a very bold statement to make that. It's a great insight. You don't have to go around saying that. It's an insight. As Pascal said, that when I take the awareness standpoint, then the whole universe is reduced into a speck. But when I take my body standpoint, the whole universe reduces me into a speck. Choice is yours. You can either take the awareness standpoint or you can take the body standpoint. When you take the body standpoint, you will be crushed, you will feel suffocated by the world. You are so tiny and nothing. If you take the consciousness standpoint, you contain everything. So what we are trying to do is a shift of your awareness. From body I am awareness to the limitless consciousness I am awareness. It is only then you can say, God forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. They think they are destroying me. They are not destroying me. They are only hurting this body, which is a speck of matter. It doesn't mean anything to me. So they are only beating my shadow, burning my effigy. Luckily, if you are angry with President Bush, you have only one choice. Make an effigy and burn it. Write his name in a paper and burn it. But that doesn't affect President Bush, because he knows he is different from the effigy or his name. He is something different. Similarly, I understand myself. These are all object of my awareness. Satchyam. I am the awarer, I am the awareness. These are all objects. Jnanamidhi svena eva jnayade. I am the knower. And Shankara gives an example. Tada yadha. It is something like this, he says. Like what? Madhiyatvena jnatam kataga kundala grahadigam. I also know, I have a relationship with the Kataga Kundalam. Kataga means the bangles. Kundala means your earring. Kataga Kundala Grahadigam, a house. What is your relationship with a house? My house. Not that I am the house. My house. My earring. My bangles. If I lose it, there is some pain because I lost it. Something which I loved, I lost it. but I am not lost in the process. I am not. So somebody came and said, I lost my horse, and he was very happy about it. So he asked, why are you happy? Because you lost your horse. Because I was not on the horse and I am not lost. Understand? That's why I am happy, he says. So you may lose your horse, but you don't lose yourself. You may lose everything. You may lose the whole world. But if you don't lose your soul, you are okay. You may gain everything, lose the soul, you are not okay. So that's the idea. These are all mind, mind, mind. And I tell this story, somebody got a telegram announcing that his house in this particular city was gutted, burned down in fire. When he got this telegram, he was extremely happy. He is very happy. Not because he insured that house. Nowadays, people are happy when their house is, because I am insured, that house is insured. So this man is happy, and people were wondering what is the secret of his happiness. So somebody went up and asked, why are you happy when you know that your house is burned down? He said, because 2 months ago I sold that house. You sold that house, and I got the payment and deposited the check. The check has been credited in my account. Now I am happy. So 2 months ago, if this had happened, you will be very unhappy, because you had a association with the house. Now you have no association. Incident remaining the same, event remaining the same, your responses are different. Similarly, when I am associated, identify with the house or the body, there is pain. If I am not identified, there is no pain. So he says, Madhiyatvena jnanam kadaga kundala grahadigam susmad bhinnam. And I know that these are other than me. I transcend all this. I transcend their fate. They may come into existence, they may go out of existence. My fate and identity does not depend upon these objects. I transcend. This is called transcendence. After all, religion gives you the experience of transcendence. An event which otherwise would have caused a lot of pain or excitement, no more does that. You transcend all this. So this ability to transcend every experience is called samadhi, or the knowledge of the self. Every experience which otherwise would have caused pain for an ordinary person, no more cause any pain. It is only an experience. Like you have an experience in the movie theater. It doesn't deeply affect you. So madhiyatvena jnanam susmad bhinnam. So when I see a pot, I may say it's my pot because I see it, but I am not the pot. Similarly, my body, I see it, I am not it. My thought, I see it, I am not it. My memory, I see it, but I am not it. My ignorance, I see it, but I am not. You have ignorance, but you are not ignorant. Don't identify with these possessions. So you can say, I have ignorance. Don't never say, I am. Then what are you? Satchidananda. I am that infinite bliss. It is not me who is ignorant. So by this example, by showing you that you have the right kind of relationship with the pot or a house or a tree, that understanding is to bear upon your relation with the body and thoughts, etc. They also are objective. They also are presented to your subject, your consciousness. So outside the world we have the right relationship. When it comes to inside, we lose that sanity and balance. Outside the world we know that we are different from that, but you don't have the depth of inner awareness. So madhiyatvena janadi. So the expressions, now you say my body, my prana, my thoughts, my emotions, my ignorance, my knowledge, my suffering, you say that this is mine. Just as you say my pot, my house, my car, etc. So since that is a relationship, one knows that swasmad bhinnam. Madiyatvena jnanam. These are all other than me. Swasmad bhinnam, other than me. Because they are understood as mine, not me. Therefore, they are not me. Meaning the body-mind complex is not me. They are mine, they are not me. That's it. You are using it, but you are not used by it. So you regained your lost identity, selfhood. Your selfhood has been lost in this welter of mire of thought, emotions, and the physicality. And now you recapture your spiritual identity. The rest are all mental, physical, and physiological, and the material. Your essential nature is different from that. And once you know that, I am that, the Atma, the spirit, these are something different from me. So now there are two things. I, which is the spirit, which is beyond the thought, beyond the time space, because according to Vedanta, time space is an expression of thought, mind, movement of the mind. If the mind is still, there is no experience of time and thought, which you know, which you experience. When you are in a mode of stillness, silence, generally out of great joy, you don't experience time. So stillness is always equated to joy, blissfulness. When you are blissful, mind is still, then you transcend time. Whenever you are joyous, you must, your time just flies. Before you realize it's over. But when you are not blissful, time goes snail pace, very, very slow. Even 1 second can look like a century. A second can think like a century. Whereas if you are blissful, a century can go like this. So that's in space. If you are blissful, you don't care for the environment. But if you are not happy, you care for, you nitpick small issues. It's all depend upon what is your state of mind. So once this state is achieved, you are beyond time, beyond space. That's your awareness. That's the ground of everything. So the ground of reality is your own awareness, which is free from time and space. Therefore, it is not located anywhere. It is not an object located in space or time. It is alocal and a temporal, beyond time, beyond space. It can be captured only in a state of meditation. You can communicate with that in a state of meditation. What exactly it is, its character, its nature. You can only say, I am that. Nothing else can you say. Buddha said, whatever it is, that is it. He refused to describe it. Jewish people refuse to describe it. Whatever it is, that's it. So no wise man will describe that state, because descriptions all fall short, and people quarrel based on those descriptions. Somebody said something, somebody else said something, and followers are quarreling because they have not got it straight. So they think that Buddha said something different from what Jewish people say, Hindu said something. They all said the same thing. But when they said it, it looked different from each other's descriptions. So that's something to be experienced. So in the deeper experience, it is a silent experience. You remain silent. There is no description. But that is the ground of everything. It is from there time space manifest and events manifest. And it is in that time space events there is the ego, the sense organs, the world, and the whole dynamics is within that consciousness. So we have to see, now we have identified the ground reality. Whether you have identified it or not, that's being done. This is the process of knowing what is the truth. The experience of truth is deep silence. And from that, what can manifest is love. As an experience of love for everybody. Compassion, enormous power arise out of it. You are able to heal, you are able to spread energy around you. All these great miracles happen in the environment. A person who has touched that level of reality and identified with that level of reality. So through this process of negation, you reach there. And the process of negation is, how do you negate it? Not that you take something and throw it out. You are just watching, objectifying. So by that process of watching, you transcend. It is not an actual you jump over a wall and go somewhere. What you are trying to do, you are trying to objectify things. These are changing. These are observable phenomena. And I am the changeless observer. That's what you are trying to do. That's what is known by. Because this transcendence idea always gives funny ideas to people. The transcendence means now you from here, you jump to the other field. No, that's not the way you transcend. Transcendence is you are detaching. You are detaching, you are observing. So when I observe this table, I transcend the table. When I observe my thought, I transcend my thought. When I observe my misery, I transcend my misery. When I observe my ignorance, I transcend my ignorance. When I observe my knowledge, I transcend my knowledge. When I observe time-space, I transcend time-space. So there is no effort involved in transcendence. Transcendence is not, you don't need a big lever or something and then push the lever under you and then use that lever and then pitchfork you. You don't require any of those things. That's not the way you transcend. And with much difficulty, you scale across a big wall or something. It is the most silent experience you can have. And hence somebody said this transcendence is silent. There is no, it's not an event that happened to you, not an event. It is discovering your true nature. So it's the most uneventful experience. It is not even an experience. Because if it had it been experience, it will come and go. Doesn't touch you. Is one among the many experiences. So it is not even an experience. It is not even an event. It has not happened in time space. Anything which happens in time space will be wiped out. Then what is it? Whatever it is, that is it. That's the great Buddha said. That is what the great Shankaracharya says. And to comprehend it requires a very subtle mind. So by deliberating all this, we are trying to capture those insights. So, Madhiyatvena jnadam atmana bhavadi. None of them can be called the Atma. None of them can be called the Atma means the body, the mind, the thoughts, memories, ignorance, knowledge. None of them can be called Atma. Then what are you? Whatever it is. Yeve, whatever it is, that is it. Suchness, that is it. Or formlessness, that it has no form or description. At the same time, all forms come from there. All descriptions arise from there. All manifestations come from. This is another paradox. You say it is no form, but then you say all the forms come from there. All descriptions arise from there. So, having touched the ground, timeless, spaceless ground, now let us look at the world. That's the process of integration. Earlier you were a minuscule speck in the world. Now you are the very ground of the world. From there, when I look at the world, Srishti Krama comes in, the process of creation. So in every literature, scripture, you find a Srishti Krama, how the creation happened. God said, let there be light. There was light to his delight. God said, let there be separation between the sky and the earth. Separate. Let there be night and day. Night and day. Then God said, let there be these plants and herbs, sun and the moon. Now it is a empty house. There should be somebody in this house. Then the God took a clump of clay, a lump of clay, and then fashioned it and breathed his breath into it. And then Adam was created. Then Adam was lonely, then Eve was created. Then he planted this beautiful garden for them to enjoy. Then he made this mistake of saying, Adam, don't eat of that apple. And man's suffering begins from that instruction. Don't is a dangerous thing. If you say don't, then human spirit is such, why not? So therefore, God should have been a little more careful. He should not have said don't. And all the problem happened because of 10 commandments. Don't. 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 And the question is, why not? Why not? Why not? If that instruction were not there, things would have been all right. Adam would not have thought about that apple. There are many apples in that paradise. He never took notice of this particular apple. In fact, he had to go in search of that apple. He has to go and search and consult with the snake and all those people. And finally, the snake said, I know that apple. Here is it. He never knew about it. And the whole problem begins when you say, don't. So here, the problem, how does the creation happen? That's what I said, Tattva Utpatti Pragar. Tattva means these various emanations from that, also called Tattva, because the emanations are the manifestations of the same truth. Earlier we did not know that. So from this process of discrimination and reaching that ground reality, from there when you look at it, everything is the same. Its own manifestation, the water, the air, the fire, the sun, the moon, the rivers, the mountains are all manifestations of the same truth. That insight you get. Earlier you did not have that insight. Of course, people used to say everything is one, this tree and the stone is one, and you repeated it. That's maybe true. Now you realize everything is not only one, everything is my own expression. That process of creation or emanation is being explained in the next. But before that, I jumped a little, overshot a little. Before that, now having described Atman as what it is not, and we were seeing that what exactly it is difficult to describe. It is best described in silence. But still, the rishis try to describe it. Out of their infinite compassion, they try to describe it in language with a proviso warning. What I describe doesn't touch even an iota of what exactly it is. But I can give you some description using metaphorical language, language from the world. I can use this one, a proof for existence of God, the idea of perfection. Do you have an idea of perfection? All of us has, because we are able to say what is imperfect. So to say that what is imperfect, you must have a standard of perfection. So that is why human beings are never happy. Whatever you give them, they are not happy. You give them the best, they will say, what is it? Then nothing. Because you have an idea of perfection. And you are always, something like in the Greek mythology, you find somebody took a lamb and then went all around searching people. Are you perfect? Are you perfect? He's trying to see. And finally he said, nobody is perfect. So there is some standard inside of perfection. Therefore, the logic is perfection must exist. It must exist. There is some idea of beauty. You are able to say this is not beautiful, this is not beautiful. So therefore there is an idea of beauty. Beauty must exist. There is an idea of goodness. We always say this is not good, this is not good. Even Mahatma Gandhi, we thought Mahatma Gandhi is the best person. Now people say even he was not good. Hitler of course is bad. So who is the good person? Moses, was he good? No. Because always researchers found some mistake in Moses. He is swearing and cursing his followers. Abraham, absolutely bad. So you find Jesus Christ, now there are books on Jesus Christ, they say that he came down from the cross and he went to Kashmir, he married and produced children and died there. Always people are trying to find out some problem with everything. Why? Because there is a concept of goodness, concept of beauty, and therefore it must exist. If you can think about it, it has to exist. That's the idea. So, though the nature of the self is beyond description, our rishis have made an attempt to describe it in its essential nature. There are three words trying to indicate, describe that reality, which is your own essential nature. So that reality can be indicated by the word I. I indicate that. Whenever you say I, now you know you don't mean the body, you don't mean this, you don't mean that. So when you probe into that I idea, just go along that, with that. Who am I? Ramana Maharshi's method. Ask who am I continuously. When you ask, you will reach a platform, a place, a platform, a dimension. There you discover your I. That's your I. So we have seen that. So here certain descriptions are given by the rishis with this warning that these words won't fully explain, exhaustively explain the nature of the. Otherwise what happens, you by heart these words and say I have realized Atman. What you have realized is you only pick up certain words. Of course those words are good. You keep on meditating on those words, you may get an insight. Now, the true nature of the Atma. Atma tarhi kaha Satchidananda Swarupaha. The famous definition of Atman. Then who am I? What is this Atma? What is this ground? You see, suddenly you discover an identity between you and the ground reality. It is not that you go and see it. It is suddenly you discover I am this ground. So here is a description, Atma tarhi kaha. What is then the self? Atma means the self. Tarhi, then Atma kaha. What is the Atman, or who is the Atman, whatever way you want to ask. Satchidananda Swarupa. Sad Chid Ananda Swarupa. Atman Swarupa, true nature can be explained in these three words. Sat Chit Anandam. Wonderful words. Satchidanandam or Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Beautiful, goodness and truth. In the Western world, the ideas, beautiful, the object of aesthetic search, goodness, ethics, and truth, logic. That is totally a concept. Truth is sought through logic, beauty is sought through aesthetic, and an aesthetic beauty He says beauty can be experienced in indifferent contemplation or detached contemplation. You can experience, this is Immanuel Kant's definition. You can experience beauty when you are in a mode of detached contemplation, disinterested contemplation, that's his word, disinterested contemplation. Then alone you can, if you are interested in it, then your thoughts become violent. Disinterested. Best way of experiencing beauty is watching the moon. That there also there is a problem. The lunar, the moony people, they find it difficult. They watch the moon, they get excited. But watch it. Watching a flower or a river or an ocean, watch it. There's a lot of joy generated. So the Atmans, these are called indicative definitions, not descriptive definitions. Because you can never describe the Atman fully. It's an indicative definition. They're just pointers, they're pointers about the Atman. Satchidananda Sarupa. Now the question is, Sat, Sat Kim? What do you mean by Sat? Give me an understanding. What is Sat? What is truth? Can anybody define truth? This is even you have not even defined those concepts. What is truth? You are searching for truth. What is truth? Then you say truth is God. What is God? God is truth. What is truth? Don't you know it's God? You know, this way you just shift to the words. So truth need a objective definition, a description. Descriptive definition. So what is truth? Sad Kim, because the student is very alert now. He asks, how do you define truth? That's a simple definition here. Kalatrayebi tishtadi idi sat. Sat, truth is that which tishtadi remains Kalatraye, in all the three periods of time. Anything which exists in the three periods of time, that alone can be called the truth. What are the three periods of time? Past, present and future. Something which existed in the past but is not available today is not the truth. Something which is not today but it will come day after cannot be called the truth, because which is not today but came day after will disappear day after tomorrow. It will have to go. So truth is that. So very interesting definition. Is that which doesn't change in all the three periods of time. Is there anything like that? You can go on searching. Good exercise for us. Go on searching what is that which does not change in time. Thoughts change, objects change, emotions change, moods change, everything constantly changes. The only thing which doesn't change is awareness. Awareness by which you experience change. Awareness by which you experience change, consciousness by which you experience, you are conscious of change. That alone does not change. And hence you have to understand it that way. Awareness or consciousness alone qualifies for this definition of truth. Okay. So kalatrayebi tishtadidi sat. Sat is that. Everything else changes. So that makes you very contemplative. These are all changing phenomena. So Kant used to call it the noumenon, the phenomenon, and we call it the Atman, the rest are all Anatman. Brahman, the rest are all Abrahman. Shiva, the rest are all Shava. In Shiva literature, you call this as Shiva, and the rest are all Shava. Shava means dead material. Shava. So, or you can call it the changing, the changeless, and the rest are all changing. Nitya, anitya. That's another word used. So kalatrayebi tishtadidi sata. So that definition is very, very important. Now it is said sata, then it is said chida. Atman is chid also. What is chid? Chit kim? Jnana swarupaha. Chit is of the nature of knowledge. So what is lasting? Since its nature is consciousness, it is knowledge also. So consciousness alone can last. The rest are all fleeting. So the Rishi sees an identity between that is persistent existence and consciousness. Consciousness alone exists, he says. It's a totally different perception. Some people say consciousness is the final product. Matter exists and consciousness is only an epiphenomenon. Subtle matter combined in certain ways, neurons, neural pathways create the phenomenon of consciousness. Here the Rishi says consciousness is the ground of everything. It alone exists. So Brahma Satyam Jagad Mithya. Brahman is the only truth, the rest are all untruth. Whereas the materialist will say matter is the only truth, consciousness is only just a byproduct. And our understanding of consciousness is that. When we say consciousness is the ground of everything, we fail to understand. How can it be? Consciousness isn't just in the brain. And as long as the brain is there, then you can know things. And when you hit a vehicle and your 1.5 cc of grey matter jumps out of your skull, unlike and lying on the road, like the white of an egg or something, then it doesn't have any consciousness. So you say consciousness is confined to this brain. That consciousness is very limited consciousness. We are talking about the universal intelligence, universal consciousness. So chit kim, chit is jnana sarupa, of the nature of consciousness awareness. So existence and awareness are the same. It is not awareness of existence. Existence itself is awareness. They are not different things. And this awareness existence is anandam. So next, ananda. Anandaha kaha sukha swarupaha. It's a very interesting word. Sukha means space. Su means plenty, ka means space. So consciousness is that which accommodates, he says. Sukha means accommodation. And so bliss and joy is a result of accommodation. If you can accommodate events in life, then you are in a blissful state. So sukha swarupa. Sukha means, ka means space. Su means plenty. So happiness means accommodation, integration. The more you can integrate, the more you are happy. The more you can accommodate, the more you are happy. The more you resist, the more unhappy that you are. So consciousness and eternity or truth, existence, they are the one and the same thing. And that consciousness is the nature of bliss, happiness. So according to Vedantic vision, happiness, consciousness and existence are the same, one and the same thing. A happy person is an acutely conscious person. A happy person is an all accommodative person. And happiness is the way to know your nature. When you are happy, then you are one with your Swarupa or nature. When you are unhappy, you are displaced from your nature. So one way of jumping into knowing your reality, just be happy. Just be happy. Just accommodate. Don't resist. Don't fight. Don't reject. Because by rejecting, you are again causing friction, and then you deviate. Some of these interesting values, acceptance, accommodation, tolerance, etc., is a natural evolution of this understanding, natural outcome of this understanding. So, Anandaha kaha sukhaswarupaha, Ananda's nature is sukham. It's a great insight. We thought happiness means just getting something and keeping it all to yourself and close the door and enjoy it in privacy. That way you won't be happy. True happiness comes when you can share it. When you can say, if you want it, take it. You know, that sharing and giving gives you a lot of joy. And hence Christ said, if somebody wants your shirt, give him the pant also. Give him that too. It's not that literally, it says that you must be liberal, share, accommodate, tolerate. That way create a lot of space, psychological space. That way you will be able to enjoy life. Otherwise you may possess everything but still be a miserable individual. Everything is there but not the real thing. So by sharing and tolerating, you are able to enhance the quality of life. So evam Satchidananda Swarupam Swatmanam Vijaniyad. Thus may you understand, Vijaniyad, Swatmanam, yourself, as Sada Chida Anandam, limitless, timeless, consciousness, bliss. That's how we have to understand. That you are. It is that you, through these equipment, body, mind, looks miserable. That's not reality. A mother goes to see a play. So while she was, and she invited her neighbor also, you also come, because my son is playing a wonderful role in the play. So in the play, the son was playing the role of a giant, you know, with the canine teeth and then blazing eyes, bushy eyebrows and wiry hair and lot of facial, the face is like a giant, monster, that's the word, monster, with long nails and bloodshot eyes and blood dripping from his mouth. This is the role he is playing, and a huge figure with the two horns on his head and all that. And this man jumps onto the, and he is playing that role, he jumps onto the stage like a monster. Everybody lost a breath when he jumped onto the stage. And there was a smile on the mother's face. Because when the mother looked at it, this monster, she is not seeing the monster. She is seeing his son, 8-year-old, 10-year-old son, beautiful son, very loving son. So she has that discrimination to reject these outside costumes and see through the real face of the son. We also need that. We are playing through these masks and their essential nature. So the 1,000 masks of God, this is the meaning. God means you are God, you are playing these many roles, 1,000 masks of God. So one can see one's essential nature. Evam Satchidananda Swarupam Swatmanam Vijaniyad. May you realize yourself as that pure Satchidananda. So the meditation is over. This is called meditation. Called meditation, every day one has to sit and realize this as your nature. And this is the only way to rejuvenate yourself. Nothing else can rejuvenate you. This is the only magic that we are talking about. This is the only rebirthing what we are talking. Nowadays people call rebirthing. It's a rebirth. Born again experience. This is the born again experience. That I disentangle myself from these encrustations and realize my spiritual essential nature. And this pilgrimage you have to make every day. Every day in the seat of meditation you have to make this pilgrimage. It is not that once in a lifetime you made the pilgrimage, no. Every day you have to go into this sanctum sanctorum. Live there for some time, then play the role. Then you can play any role. Any role is okay. If there is a role which nobody wants to play, you are ready to play, because you are able to distinguish between your role and your real. This is only a role. This is my real nature. I don't have to identify with the role. So that reality is captured by you. So having understood it, now let us account for the world that you see around you. So initially you left the world in search of the truth. Now you are coming back. So as these scholars say, religion always involves a going in and coming back. Religion always involves that. An inward withdrawal, then a coming back. Like a Buddha went and came back. A Christ moved to the forest, came back. Not forest, the desert, and came back. So that stage of coming back, integrating. So spiritual person is not a person who withdrawn from the world and nothing to do with the world and criticize and then condemn and then. That is not spirituality. Spirituality essentially is integration. You have the vastness of consciousness. You can integrate anybody. Even a man who comes to shoot at you, you can integrate him also. You just smile. When you smile, then he will become helpless. He drop the weapon. But our problem, we may smile, but there is fear inside. He may shoot. And that kind of smile is only a superficial smile, an honest smile. And I guarantee he will drop his weapon. We have our own doubts. The Guru might have said it, but I don't know whether this is true. This man may shoot me and I may die. But with this understanding, we never die. So freedom from fear is the final result, reward of this search. You are no more afraid of anything. No fear at all. You become fearless. So let us see the creation, the integration, which will lead to devotion and love. It's an experience, or give you the experience. So love means to integrate. Love, devotion means to integrate. Integrate even a minute speck of matter in this world. Everything is valuable and immortal for you. So that process is being said, the emanation from this state. So somebody said this Atman is infinite information. That is another way of putting it. Infinite information. And that information is packed in a space which is almost invisible. The modern computer people know that. Earlier you need a huge computer to pack a little bit of information. Now you have invisible chips which can pack incredible amount of data. And as we develop further, you find you don't need anything to collect and store data. So that nothing in which everything is stored is called the Atman. That's why Buddhists say it is nothing. Nothing does not mean nothing. It only means no thing, no manifestation. So that from there, all these formations and transformations come. So that process is being explained here. Let us read it. Adha Chadurvimshadi Tattvotpatti Prakaram Vachyamaha. Adha, now Chadurvimshadi Tattva. Chadurvimshadi means 24. Chadu means 4. Vimshadi means 20. Chadurvimshadi means 24. Tattvas means manifestations, emanations. Tattva Utpatti. Utpatti means manifestation. Tattva means these energies. The 24 energies manifest. Earlier we see in the word Tattva. There Tattva means the pure spirit, consciousness. Now the various manifestations, emanations of consciousness. That also is called the Tattva. Why? Because they are after all manifestations of consciousness. That's why they are called Tattva. So Tattva Utpatti. Utpatti means emanation. Prakaram means that order, in which order they manifested. Vachyamaha. We shall discuss that now. Now we shall discuss the creative expressions and processes. So it's a spiritual way of looking at it, not a physicist way of looking at it. A physicist will say it was all a small concentrated atom, then it exploded, and the Big Bang, and all that. This is a spiritualist way of looking at it, seeing yourself in all these manifestations. So that we shall explain. So there are 24 emanations or energies which manifested in succession, one after another, from the subtle to the grossest. It manifests. And the grossest, of course, is the earth, this gross earth, which has got a weight, which is subjected to the law of gravitation, earth. And the subtlest is the space. That's the subtlest. So from space to earth, how it manifested, our own consciousness, to call these formations forms. So Adha Chadurvimshadi Tattvotpatti Prakaram Vachyamaha. We shall explain. And Shankaracharya begins with a statement, a very profound statement. Brahmashraya Sattvarajas-tamo Gunatmika Maya Asti. Now we have established that existence is this consciousness, and that consciousness is Brahman or Atman. Two words were given. So Brahma, the Brahman or Atman or consciousness. Ashraya, Ashraya means depending on Brahman. Maya Asti. Now he says, suddenly, he says, there is something called the Maya, which depends on Brahman. Brahman, along with the Maya, exists, he says. Where did this Maya come from now? I thought we understood everything. Suddenly you bring this idea of Maya. Brahmashraya Maya Asti. There is Brahman supported by or endowed with Maya. Maya is the creative power of Brahman. The creative power. Because this consciousness is infinitely creative. It has got infinite energy and it needs expression. That's one beauty of this consciousness is expressive, creative, and it can create infinite combinations because it's so creative. That's a new idea. We never thought that Brahman is capable of these kind of creative emanations and energies. But when we come to this point of state of reality, we discover that it is capable of manifesting in many forms. Though it has no form, all forms are embedded in it. Though it is not located in time space, all time space events are located in it, is grounded in it. So this Maya exists with this great creative potential and search. That's the statement. Brahmashraya Maya Asti. Maya exists along with the Brahman. And that creative power of Brahman manifests, which is called creation. So that we will see tomorrow.